Thank you for coming to my DMA lecture recital. In this lecture recital, are going to perform Rebecca Clarke's Viola Sonata on the violin. The purpose of lecture recital is going to expand the solo violin repertoire by transcribing Rebecca Clarke's Viola Sonata, thereby providing more opportunity for violinists to perform and study solo pieces from 20th century. Also hope to be an excellent opportunity to understand female composer. First, I would like to introduce Rebecca Clarke. Rebecca Clarke, an English female composer and viola player. She is considered one of the most prominent female musicians of her time, and she is regarded as an important British composer. She eventually began her study for violin at Royal Academy of Music in 1903, but was withdrawn in 1905. A few years later, she had a chance to attend Royal College of Music and becoming one of Sir Charles Villiers Stafford's first female composition student, and professor's recommendation. She shifted her focus from violin to viola. When she graduated in 1910, Clarke became one of the first female professional orchestra musicians. She played viola in Queen's Hall Orchestra. In 1916, she moved to United States to continue her performing career and composition. She concentrated on composing and performing in the United States. However, after 1940, problem with her hand gradually reduced her playing and composing, and Clarke died in 1979 at home in New York City at age of 93. She composed about 100 pieces, including choral music, chamber music, and solo pieces. And her music included various music trends such as postmodernism, impressionism, and nationalism. Among Clarke's most well-known works is Viola Sonata in A minor. The music was composed for submission to 1919 Berkshire competition of chamber music. She began sketching the piece in Honolulu during her viola performance. Initially, the Viola Sonata tied for first prize in Honest Block, suite for viola and piano. However, as the judge felt needed to make a clear winner, they assigned Bloch first place and Clarke second place. Even though her music did not take a first place, the piece has remained prominent in the viola repertoire, having been recorded for more than 10 record labels. The Viola Sonata contains many composition techniques. Clarke is known for particular methods used musical impressionists such as Debussy and Ravel. In detail, learn traditional scale including the pentatonic and whole tone scale, parallel chord, chromatic expansion, and cyclic structure. This sonata has 3 different movements. The first movement of splendid composition methods such as various transformation and rediscoveries, centering on melody of first and second theme appear throughout the music. Furthermore, intense lyricism, the richness, texture, and clarity of form appear, and the Adrian mode is used to add a sense of color through chromatic progression. As you can see, the first movement is the sonata structure that consists of an exposition, development, recapitulation, and coda. It contrasts passionate theme 1 with beautiful and elegant theme 2. Notably, the sonata does not follow the typical key structure of classical sonata form. Instead, working with various related scale type and tonal collection. This complex story can be easily understood by looking table 1 on the paper. The second movement is simple. It's long form with 2 contrasting theme, part A and part B. Part A use interesting special effects such as pizzicato and staccato to create a humorous atmosphere, and folk melody appear. In part B, complex chords appear in the form arpeggios, creating mysterious feeling. The last movement, rondo sonata format and theme melody present based on pentatonic scale, and the overall tone is ambiguous by using more dissonant harmony than other movements. The element of the first and second movement appears through the circular theme. As I explained earlier, this music has many interesting features. First, the introduction section, measure 1 to 12, present two motives, X and Y. This part is X and this part is Y. That establishes the mode. As you can see, measure 1, viola solo play motive F, the horizontal line that has a military character due to a dotted rhythm, and open fifth, motive X, a melodic line using E Dorian scale. Let's see. E Dorian scale consists of E, F sharp, G, A, D, C sharp, D, E. The melody line A, E, A, E, G, F sharp, E, F sharp, D, F sharp, C, D, C sharp, B, C sharp, A, B, E. This one. As you can see, that all melody line consists of Dorian scale, and motive Y entered in the piano measure 2 here. Fortissimo chord sketches fifths around E. The piano pedal sound is harmony that breaks away from traditional triad, in which three notes A, E, B are sketched by fifth. That is, impressionist composers such as Debussy and Ravel mainly use fifth chord, who departed from harmonic method prior to the 18th century, when third and sixth chord were dominant in the past. Now, switching the gear, I want to talk about violin and viola. As you can see, violin and viola look very similar, but slightly different sides. The measurement-wise, a full-size violin body is about 36 centimeters, 14 inches, but full-size viola body typically somewhere between 39 and 41 centimeters, 15 and a half inch, 16 and a half inch. The body of the viola also wider and deeper than the violin. About the bow, the string of viola are heavier and needed a bow with more weight to create a darker, richer sound. Overweight, violin bow 10 grams lighter than viola bow. Violin and viola typically have only 4 strings, except electric variation. Violin has a tune G and D and A and E. G, D, A, and E. E being highest and G is the lowest one. The viola tune fifth lower than the violin. Viola string has a C, G, D, A string, with the A being highest and C is the lowest. Does anyone know what the biggest difference is? The biggest difference is clef. When you look at each score, the violin uses G clef, but viola uses C clef. So most violinists have a difficult time to see the viola music when playing the viola. Let's talk about transcription. Transcription is essentially the adaptation of composition for instrumental or instruments other than those for which it was originally written. It is to be misunderstood with similar word, the arrangement. An arrangement is similar procedure. However, the arrangement often feel free to take a musical liberty with the element of the original score. Historically, music transcription has been a common practice since 14th century. A viola to violin transcription date to the late 16th century. The reason why viola to violin transcription are uncommon is in fact until 20th century, most composers completely ignored the viola as a solo instrument, treating it as a support instrument for orchestral works or chamber works. The viola took on new prominence as a solo instrument in 20th century, featuring prominently in output Paul Hindemith, William Primrose, Lionel Curtis, and Clarke. As much great music for viola was composed. In few instances, composers have transcribed viola composition for violin, such as Max Bruch Romance for viola and piano, Opus 85, and Brahms Clarinet and Viola Sonata, Opus 120. However, viola to violin transcriptions remain very rare. Now, I will explain how I transcribe Clarke's Sonata for violin. As I mentioned, the viola tune fifth lower than violin, and they have the same G, D, and A string. So, balance of the piano with viola is similar enough to that with violin. So my transcription leaves the piano part. I thought a lot about how to play viola music on the violin, because as I mentioned, violin strings are tuned G, D, A, and E. Viola tune C, G, D, and A string. Therefore, lower F, E, D, C, F, E, C. On the pink section, between lowest note of violin and viola cannot play on violin. So I look up the examples of several composers on how to solve this problem. And I found three solutions. First, the simplest method used by many composers is raised on octave. However, my transcription process therefore focuses on transcription in the same octave, taking many factors into account as I discussed below. The violin, idiomatic sound, and performance technical comfort and limitation must be considered maintain the composition's character. In transcribing words for violin originally written on instrument with a lower range, many arrangers transpose an octave up. It is a simple method that avoids need for partial change. However, higher pitch creek can interfere with composer's intention. When raised on octave, what produces a sound, weight, and grandeur on the viola may become flash and sharp. Therefore, most passages in my transcription remain in same octave as an original music. However, there were exceptional circumstances, including specific passages which go below lower than G3, which cannot play on the violin. In case where the impossible note is by itself, I transpose it up the octave on the partition. I will show some example. As you can see, at bar 4, second beat is lower E, lower than lowest note on the violin. It's possible to play on the violin. It's not possible to on the violin. So I raised down the octave until bar 7, back to original music. Like that. Let's compare the sound. First, I will play original music, and after playing my transcription on the violin. That is the original part, and now I'm going to play my transcription. And the measure 6, first move on measure 67 to 70, this part, the same problem. As you can see, the lower F sharp can't play on violin, so I raised the low octave. Now I will explain second method as Clarke gave me a suggestion. I found the passage in transcription of her words as is seen in two pieces for viola or violin and cello. The first movement measure 39 to 40. At measure 39, she raised the octave same as I used before on the first beat, and after the second beat, the upper and lower notes of chord switch through inversion, keeping the range similar but playable on either instrument. I used this technique in measure for measure 80 to 81 in first movement. As you can see, in the original music, the melody line above repeated C is the bottom and top is the melody line. The repeated C is lower than G3, so I tried raising the octave, but as I said before, the sound was sharp and did not match the music's overall mood. Therefore, the second method used this time. I inverted the melody line and repeating C so that the melody line was positioned below the repeating C. Let's make it possible to play on the violin by changing position. Let's compare the sound. First, same as I'm going to play viola first and then my transcription. It's the original version. It's a violin version. The last method of common issue in transposition in the impossibly raising notes on octave or inverted note due to the melodic direction. Brahms has a successful method for dealing with such passage as seen in his Claudinus and Viola Sonata in F minor, opus 120, number 1. The melody line at bar 62, last beat, that one, Brahms deleted unplayable grace note and refashioned the 6-note ascending gesture as a 5 notes, omit another unplayable note. Based on method I described above, I found the solution in second movement. Being of the second movement, the pitch cut part, the low C, impossible to play on violin, although the two methods mentioned above can be applied. However, the produce the original resonance from open string and maintain the melodic line, I decide to remove the low C altogether. Let's compare the sound. It's the original version, and then it's my transcription. As I described above, I try to keep the original music as much as possible and reflect the composer's intention on the violin. Again, thank you for coming to my DMA lecture recital, and I would like to appreciate it if you enjoyed the music by Rebecca Clarke on the violin. Thank you.